Hello fellow collectors and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at Voyager class Megatron from Transformers Generation Selects. Standard Generation Select packaging, nothing really exciting there. Just have that spray painted look for the Autobot symbol. Something written in Cybertronian, I guess. I don't know what that is. I always think it's weird, it's always just the Autobot symbol. It's like if it's a Decepticon inside, do the Decepticon symbol, why not? In any case, while the label on the side is very vague and just says Voyager class Megatron, you all probably already know that this is Generations 2 Megatron. That's right. They took the Earthrise Megatron mold and repainted it in his G2 color scheme. I love it. I'll be honest, I had absolutely no intention of buying Earthrise Megatron. It just seems too similar to Siege Megatron, of which I already have two. But then they unveiled that they were doing a repaint in his G2 colors, and I thought, well, you win this round, Hasbro, because I'd need that. And so I had to pick it up. I just think it's fantastic. Obviously, it takes me back to my childhood. There's nothing more 90s than a green and purple camo tank. It's just the most ridiculous thing ever, and I love it. So I'm very excited about this. I'm going to go ahead, free him from this plastic prison, and then we're going to take a closer look. So here is G2 Megatron out of the packaging, and he looks great. I mean, they did such a good job with the paint applications. The green and purple camo in all its ridiculous glory is just absolutely fantastic. You have that little bit of fluorescent orange for highlights. Really pops, really looks good. The only thing I wish, if you're really going for the G2 aesthetic, he has this fusion cannon here, which I guess technically isn't part of his gun turret in vehicle mode. That's over here. But I wish you could somehow peg it on his shoulder up here, because that's how the original G2 toy was. The whole turret just slid to the side and the head popped out. So I wish there was a way you could peg this on, and I've been kind of looking. You know, he's got these slits here. I was hoping maybe there'd be a peg hole, or maybe put a peg hole here, something like that. The closest I can really do is peg it to his shoulder, which doesn't really work. Just kind of looks ridiculous, but that's my only disappointment, really. I wish there was a way I could peg that there, because to me, that's G2 Megatron. He's got to have the gun cannon on the side of his head like that. But yeah, oh, you even get a G2 Decepticon symbol here, which I really appreciate. I think that looks pretty good. That'll be more prominent in the vehicle mode. If you're familiar with Earthrise Megatron, you know this weird sword gun accessory piece. I just don't know why they changed it up. So the Siege Megatron came with a much better gun barrel like sword accessory, where parts of the sword swiveled around the gun barrel and it made a nice cohesive looking sword and it looked really cool. And instead they just threw that away. It was already developed. They just threw that away, and instead they gave us this weird like one piece monstrosity here. I guess technically it is two pieces, because this little piece, which is going to go in the back of the tank mode, I don't even think it's really necessary, but it exists, and you peg that in here. I'm assuming that's so that this can't really fold down while you're trying to peg it in. I'm not even sure. You have this kind of sad little sword piece here. I don't know. I mean, I like the paint. You know, the purple and the green and the orange still work, so there's that going for it. But, I mean, you can peg this into the side if you want another, like, you know, gun sidearm. You can use it like that. If you want him to use the blade, you can swivel it around. I don't know. I'm honestly just going to take it off for now, because I don't really care for it. I think it's dumb. But yeah, again, love the color scheme. That's what I feel like this has going for it the most. It's very similar to Siege Megatron. Unfortunately, I put all my Siege stuff away and I don't have one to compare, but there are plenty of other pictures and things on the internet, and I'll try to point out some things that I know of. The legs transform almost exactly the same. I wouldn't be surprised if the legs are pretty much exactly the same. They transform exactly the same way. Torso looks pretty similar. I know that the original Siege had these pieces that could like flip down, and I didn't really feel that was necessary or even understand why they did that. They got rid of that, so I kind of think that's one improvement that they made. Those little pieces on the shoulders here moving around I didn't think was necessary. The tank treads here obviously look a little different, but they work pretty much the same way. They just peg onto the back, and he's just got a giant tank tread backpack, so nothing too different there. I mean, it's really very similar to the Siege version of Megatron, but at least this time I'm getting it in an awesome G2 color scheme, so I don't mind having another one. But that's why I definitely passed on the original Earthrise Megatron. But let's check out articulation. So head can go side to side, up and down. You have a nice ball joint there. You have a swivel and a hinge here in the shoulder. You have a swivel and 90-degree bend in the elbow. Nothing in the wrists because they're going to rotate into the forearm, so no articulation there. You do have a waist swivel, as you can see right there. That is also utilized in the transformation. Hips can go out to the side, all the way to the front, a little bit to the back. You actually have decent back movement, just kind of hits into the backpack eventually. You have a thigh swivel there, 90 degrees in the knee, and then of course we have ankle tilt right there. A little bit of front to back, not a ton, but a little bit. It's mostly just for the transformation. But yeah, he looks pretty cool. Good articulation. I keep going back and forth on if I wish there was a G2 Decepticon symbol on the chest. I don't think the original toy had one, so that's probably why they didn't. Or maybe they just didn't want the purple with the purple of the camo to kind of run into each other. But they do put it in this orange block, so they could have just done the exact same thing here on the front. I don't know if it would have looked good or bad. I honestly can't. I feel like this is a little blank and needs something, but I don't know if that big orange G2 Decepticon symbol would be the right fit. So I can't decide if I wish it was there or I'm happy it's not there. But overall, I think in robot mode, he looks pretty good. Nice paint applications, good articulation. I just really don't care for this thing at all. But you don't need it. I mean, you can just put it off to the side and just keep him like that. I also really wish there was some way to peg this on the side of his head, because I feel like that's a defining characteristic for G2 Megatron, and I can't replicate that here, which is kind of a bummer. But hey, let's go ahead. Let's get into the transformation here. So if you've transformed Siege Megatron, this is going to be very similar. If you've already transformed Earthrise Megatron, it's going to be exactly the same. We're going to go ahead, fold the fists into the forearms, straighten out the arms if you have any kind of, elbow bend posing going on, straighten that out. Flip that in, and then you're going to spin the gun, leave it pegged onto the forearm, but spin it around 180 like so. Come around to the back. This whole backpack piece will lift up and unpeg, and then this will all kind of lift up and get out of the way temporarily. These will spin all the way around, and then this peg will peg in here. So when you lift this around, you're going to peg that in like so, and then the arms are all the way on the back. You can see you get another little like missile paint application here in this fluorescent orange, which I really like. You're going to come down here. You're going to split these open. You're going to fold this straight up, so you have this kind of double joint going on right here. And you want to bring this down so that it fits in between there. And then you have these purple tabs, and I know it's going to be hard to see because of all the shadow that's casting, but you can see there's a purple tab right there, and then there's a tab slot here. So this green tab here is going to go into that tab slot, and this purple tab here is going to peg in right there. See the little notch on the side of his torso there? So you're going to bring this down, bring these out to the side, then you're going to make sure that this all lines up. And then, where is it? I always do one and it kicks out the other. Let me zoom out a little bit so you can see what I'm doing here. That goes in there, that goes in there. There we go. So, and you can see that casts a lot of shadow in there, but that's pretty much the whole front of the tank. So once you peg that into there, and these two in the front, you can see the head still just kind of hides there. It's not 100% submerged, but it's not 100% sticking out, about halfway down. It reminds me of one of those, like another 90s thing, people used to have that little guy where his nose would hang over, like they would put it on the front of their car. Kind of reminds me a little bit of that. But then coming around to this, you're going to put the legs all the way out to the side, like so. You're going to open up this section of the back of his leg, like this. Do that on both sides. You're going to bend this. You can see the bend right here. So that's going to come down. And if you, again, this is exactly the same as Siege Megatron. So if you're familiar with that, it transforms almost identically. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? Haha. Yeah, I'm going to have to do this. I forgot you have to rotate the torso. So that's on me. Got a little bit ahead of myself. Let's put these back down so we can rotate the waist 180 degrees. Then we're going to repeat these steps. Flip this out. Bend this down 90 degrees. Like that. Now, this piece here is going to rotate, and then you kind of have to rotate this at the thigh swivel as you do this. And you have to make sure it's still straight. And it's going to stop about there. You can see where it hits the piece of plastic. You're going to peg this in. And then fold this back in. And then repeat it with the other leg. Okay, now that you have both of those legs snapped in and both of those pieces folded back, you're going to fold up the heels, and then you just kind of rock this down. It really doesn't even do all that much. It just rocks down like that. It's not even a big deal. Then we're going to take the piece from earlier, this. You're going to come around to the back here, and if you want to move this, the turret actually does move around, so if you want to move it a little bit out of the way, you can. But you can see how there is an open space here and an open space here with this like little bit of green plastic separating the two. That's going to go in between these pieces here. Now you have to put it in this way because you can see how there's kind of an angle to them. See how this kind of swoops up? That's to match the like swoop up of his leg. So, and this is really weird how they expect you to do this, but you have to kind of push this in on this side and then just kind of like force this in. It's a little bit easier, but I just wish like you could do it while you're transforming the legs, but I don't know. Again, I just feel like that's not even necessary. All it does is like temporarily, or even not even temporarily, but just a little bit minusculely, I should say, hide his like crotch plate. I don't know. I don't really feel the need for this piece. I don't understand why it's there. I mean, I guess it looks all right. It's not hurting anybody, but I feel like it wasn't even necessary. I would have been perfectly fine just transforming the legs and leaving it without that piece there. Then you take this. You're going to fold this little piece up like so. This little peg right here is going to peg in right there. So you kind of slide the sword piece underneath. You can see there's a space there. So you slide that in and just peg that in like so. And there you go. There is your completed tank mode. And for the most part, I like it. I think it looks good. They even replicated this green band around the side. I think that had a sticker on it back in the day. The G2 toy, you had a piece that you lifted up, you fed missiles into it, and then there was like a piece you pulled back, and then you hit the button, and then it would fling the missile out. So it actually launched missiles. Obviously, they could not replicate that here. But I still think it looks like it. They did a pretty good job aesthetically replicating that. And there's that G2 Decepticon symbol. You have these little, I guess these are supposed to be missiles here on the sides. So you have a little bit more fluorescent orange, which I really like. The turret does move, which I appreciate. You can spin that around. So I think that's good. I mean, overall, it's fine. It's a G2 Megatron out of Earthrise Megatron. They did a pretty good job. Again, you know, I just think this tank is ridiculously similar to the Siege Megatron. I guess the turrets look a little different. This definitely looks more like an Earth tank. But they still didn't change it all that much. But at the end of the day, the reason I bought this specific version is because I wanted G2 Megatron, and in that regard, it definitely delivers. So, G2 Megatron. Do you need him? I think it's going to depend on your nostalgia factor. If you're a 90s kid and you grew up on G2, you're going to want this homage. It's pretty well done, I have to say. They did a really nice job with the green and purple camo color scheme, that fluorescent orange to kind of accent it, the G2 Decepticon symbol, all looks really sharp. I really wish there was a way they could mount that fusion cannon on the side of the head, because I really feel like that completes the aesthetic, but unfortunately couldn't happen. As far as the Earthrise Megatron base mold, I'm not a huge fan of this gun barrel sword accessory. I think that the Siege mold and the Earthrise mold are too similar, but I think the Siege mold is better. So it's weird to me to expect me to double up on a mold when you've already given me the better version first. So I don't really understand that. Now, if you're just talking G2 Megatron, then I say yes, you're going to want this. It was a way for them to present the Earthrise mold to me in a way that was new, exciting, and fun, and so I had to pick it up. And I kind of like that I have a version of each, but it's not just the base Megatron, because if I put the Siege base Megatron and the Earthrise base Megatron next to each other, they're going to look almost exactly the same. At least here, no one's going to get confused with G2 Megatron. This color scheme is too off the wall. So if you're just looking for a version of Megatron, you probably pass on this one. There are other versions out there. Go grab Netflix Siege Megatron that comes with the extra accessories and you'll be good to go. If you love G2, you're probably going to want to pick up this homage because they really did a nice job with it, and I love it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and as always, thanks so much for watching.